I open it up by saying, Berekuth et Yahweh, the Hamvarak. I said, Baruch Yahweh, the Hamvarak, the La Lam Wayed. I said, Baruch Atah Yahweh, the Eloheinu, the Melech Halam. The El Shere de Bekal Banu, the Mikol, the Ham Mamayim. The Benatan Lenu, the Et Torah Tol, the Baruch Atah Yahweh, the Notain HaTorah. Baruch Atah Yahweh, the Eloheinu, the Melech Halam. Asher Nathan Lanu, the Torah, the Emet, the Bekaye, the Alam. The Natah, the Betokinu, Baruch Atah Yahweh, the Notan HaTorah. We say today, blessed are you, Yahweh. You are the blessed one. We bless you, Yahweh, for you are the blessed one for all eternity. Blessed are you, Yahweh. You are our Elohim. You are the King of the universe. And you have selected us from all the peoples, and you've given us your Torah. We bless you, Yahweh, for you are the giver of the Torah. Blessed are you, Yahweh. You are our Elohim. You are the King of the universe. And you gave us the Torah of truth, and you planted eternal life within us. We bless you, Yahweh, for you are the giver of the Torah. We thank you, we praise you, we thank you for the covenant that you made with our fathers, Abraham, Yitzchak, and Yaakov. We thank you today, Yahweh, for the breath that we breathe, the Ruach, the wind. We thank you, Yahweh, for the Shemesh, the sun. Todah Rabbah, Yahweh, for the Yom HaShabbat, this day of ceasing, this day of rest, this day of refreshing. We thank you. We thank you for the lakem, which is the food that we eat. The lakem akol, Yahweh. We thank you for the rafa, that is the healing of our basari, Yahweh, of our bodies. We thank you, Yahweh, for our children, for our sons, abanim and abanoth, and our daughters, Yahweh. We thank you for our dwelling place here in the midst of this exile. And we thank you for thy Torah. We thank you for your judgments. We thank you for your kukim, Yahweh, which are your ordinances. We thank you, Yahweh, for giving us life, Kai. We thank you for Kai, Todah Rabbah, the Lakai, for Kai, Yahweh. We thank you for your prophets, your Navaim, Yahweh. We thank you for your Avdim, Yahweh, your servants. Moshe, Hallelujah. We thank you for Yashayahu and Yeremiyahu, Yakaziel, Yahweh. Todah Rabbah, Yahweh, for thinking about us. Todah Rabbah, Yahweh, for caring about us and loving us. Todah Rabbah, Yahweh, for remembering us. We thank you today. We give you praise. We lift up your name and only your name, for there is no other except for you. Todah Rabbah, Hallelujah, Hallelujah, Hallelujah. Praise the mighty Yah.
Praise Yah.
Hallelujah. What a wonderful prayer. Woo, I got excited.
Yeah, I want that recording.
Come on, you guys. This is something to be excited about. Do you understand that Yah has remembered us? He has remembered us. You understand me? He's remembered us. And all the busyness of the world and everything that's going on, Yah remembered us. He's remembered his promise that he made to our fathers. Woo! We might have forgot about him, but he has never forgotten about us. And that's something that you and I need to remember, that he has not forgotten the children of Yisrael. He hasn't. What brings us into our lesson. I'm excited. I'm not sorry. I'm going to just tell the way it is. I am juiced up about what's going to happen today. We're on a whole nother level. You know, we've been talking about, and I'm not going to make this monologue real long. We'll make it real simple for us. The last couple of weeks, you guys, we've been talking about these people, which is our ancestors, who were delivered from bondage and slavery. The Creator brought them out through a man named Moshe and Aharon and Miriam, and he brought them out with these people and said, look, I remembered you. I remembered your parents, your fathers. I remembered what I said to them. And that's why I'm here today, to give you the message. So to let you know that I remembered you. The individual that he brought them out primarily with was Moshe. He's the man who Yah is called to bring them out and to lead them out like a shepherd leading a flock of sheep. Okay. But he brought out 1.5 million people, just about roughly 1.52 million people. That's a lot of people to deal with. During this course of them leaving, they've seen a lot of signs and wonders, but also too, there's been a lot of contention and there's been a lot of argument and there's been a lot of debate with the children of Israel, a lot of complaining, okay, because they're not really sure about where their life is going. So the Creator leads them to a mountain called Har Sinai, which is the mountain of Yahweh, and he wants to give them his covenant. He wants to make an agreement with them as a marriage covenant, okay? And they make the agreement, and Moshe's gone for about 40 days or so, and the people are like, we don't know what happened to him. What's going on? We've been sitting here waiting and waiting and waiting. Nothing's happened. Let's get on about our lives. We're accustomed to worshiping a whole bunch of other gods. We just heard the Creator speak, and it shook the earth, and we saw the fire, and we heard the sound of the shofar. We saw the lightning. We saw the thunder. We saw it all. The darkness, the Arafel, the thickness of the darkness. And we were terrified. And then we were so scared, we asked to go back into the tents and let Moshe go and hear everything that the Creator has to say. But while he's gone, we got impatient and we weren't willing to wait to hear what Yahweh had to say. So in spite of our fear, the supposed fear that we had towards the Creator, it only lasted for a little bit, a little season. But then when the right time arrived for us to be who we really wanted to be, we decided that we wanted to create an image of a God, okay, or gods who we would give credit to say that they are the ones that took us out of Mitzrayim. As a result of that, this week's Torah portion says that ki tisah, when you go and take for yourselves from the children of Israel, and that word tissa there means to bear. When you do something or you take something to bear something, I need you to understand what it is that you're about to take and what you're about to bear, okay? The children of Israel did not want to bear Yahweh's burdens, okay, which is his words. They didn't want to bear it. They couldn't bear it. They didn't want to. They wanted to go and do the things that they wanted to do, okay? So let's talk about that. Let's get right into it. I only have so much time and have so many slides that I have to go through. But let's go ahead. I put together a presentation for us. And in my presentation, we have literally several different slides, but we're going to go a little piece by piece. This chapter, let me see right here. Get out of here. It's going. Start right here. Sorry about that. Can you everyone see my screen?
Yes.
Yes?
Yes.
All right, awesome. All right. So here it is. Kitissa. Kitissa. Okay, that means when you take or when you bear. Okay. The word Shemoth, again, means names, the character. So this week, it was from chapter 30, verse number 11, all the way to chapter number 34, to verse 35. So what I've done during the week is on Yom Shalishi, which is the third day of the week, I taught a little bit out of, chapter number 30, chapter number 31, and a little bit of 32, and then, 31. And then on Yom Kamishi, which is the fifth day of the week, I taught a little bit out of chapter number 34, 33, and 34. Okay. So right now, what we're going to do is we're going to go ahead and we're going to summarize everything. I'm going to take a little bit out of each one of those portions. If you did your Torah portion this week, this is going to kind of bring everything together for you. Okay. So Let's see here. If you guys, let's see, yeah, okay. If you have a question, make sure that you raise your hand and I'll answer your question for you, okay? Don't feel bad about asking questions because that's what it's about, okay? So let's go ahead and get started. All right, so as you know, Shemot means the names, okay? It has to do with the character. That's what this whole book is about, which they call the book of Exodus. They're telling you about someone leaving, in Greek, but they're not telling you about the character, the character of the people, the character of the creator, the character of the people who were oppressing us, the character of Pharaoh, the character of his wizards and his magicians, the character of the leadership of Israel and what they were like, the character of Moshe and the character of Aharon. Last week, we found out the character of Aharon, earlier this week, forgive me, Yom Kamishi, we found out that Aharon let the people go wild. And he was a terrible example of as a leader. He buckled under pressure, okay, because he didn't want contention. And he said, well, you know how these people are. He said, what did they do to make you commit this great sin? He said, you know how they are. He had an excuse. And because of that excuse, it cost him. He wasn't able to go into the land as well, okay? So that happened to him, all right? Here, we're going to read in chapter number 32, verse 30 through 32. Picking up where we left off on Yom Kamishi, it says, the next day Moshe said to the people, you have committed a terrible sin, a terrible kata, okay? Terrible. That word terrible right there is, I looked it up in the Hebrew, it says it's called a gadol, okay? And it's called gadol, and it's a G-A-D-O-L, okay? And it means extreme, okay? Is very intense, okay? Very to the highest level. It's the highest level of anything, okay? And even at sometimes you hear this word gadol used with in association with the creator's name. He says gadol shemka. Your name is, your name is extreme, your name is intense, your name is beyond, it's magnificent, okay? So so this in particular sin, and let me write that down. So this in particular sin had something magnifies all sin is the highest level of sin that anyone can do. This in particular sin right here is the highest level of sin. There are levels of sin, okay? You wouldn't say that a person who touched a dead body is called a terrible sin. You wouldn't call that a gadol. You wouldn't call a woman who was on her menstrual cycle and she had to bathe her body and she had to wash herself. That was not a terrible sin. It's sin. It's kata. Okay. You wouldn't say that a person who had a single emission in the middle of the night with nothing he had to do with, you wouldn't say that's a terrible sin. Okay. You wouldn't say that someone who accidentally didn't give somebody the correct amount of money back or they forgot something. You wouldn't say that's a terrible. You wouldn't say that's gadol. This gadol right here, okay, this in particular one is magnified. This is the highest level, okay? So now he says, now I will go up to Yahweh and maybe perhaps, there's always a maybe, I will be able to atone for you, okay? This is not a religion, okay? This is what you would call a relationship, okay? This is not a religion. This is based on how Moshe understood and knew and had a relationship with the creator that he was able to go. He says, maybe I will be able, because he does not for sure. There's no easy answers to this walk. You do something against the Gadol Shemka or the Gadol Kadosh Ekat, which is the one who's set apart, the creator of the heavens and the earth, the king of the universe, the Melech HaAlam. You do anything against forever, you do anything against this in particular one, you may or may not be atoned for. And we're going to find that out, okay? And it was atoned for their sin because it was a great sin, okay? Moshe went back to Yahweh and he said, please, these people have committed a terrible sin. Did they call refusing to pick up the manna on the sixth day or going out on the seventh day to go look for it? Did he call that a terrible sin? No. This is the highest level. I'm going to keep saying it. This is the one that's magnified the most, is this one right here, this terrible sin. Okay. What do you guys see in my imagery? The picture that I have on the side. What do you guys see? This image that I have.
It's like a calf, maybe.
Yeah, it is a calf. It's half of a calf's. Okay. I didn't want to give the whole calf to you. I gave you a little half of it. Now, here's the crazy part. I took this picture of a calf by my house about a year and a half ago. Okay. And then I was playing around with the colors and imagery and all this kind of stuff. I mean, a real life calf. So this is like a real picture that I took. And I never thought anything about it. I didn't think, you know, hey, I'm going to use this picture later and all that kind of stuff. I just liked it. I designed it. So I was like, oh, this is bomb. I love the colors on this. You know, you can still see it's a calf and whatnot. And here it is today. I'm able to use this picture. So I use this in my presentation because we're dealing with a calf. Okay. So Moshe went back. He said, please, these people have committed a terrible sin. They have made themselves a god. Okay. They made themselves a god out of gold. Okay. Now, if you will just forgive, okay, forgive in Hebrew is called salak. Okay. And salak means send away. That's what it means, to send away. I need you to send away their sin. Move it away from you. Okay. But if you won't, then I beg you to blot me out of your book, which you have written. Okay. So now Yahweh is allowing us to get an inner working of how he's working. Okay. He's telling us that he has a book. Okay. He has several books. Okay. Several. Throughout the text, there's a book of remembrance. Okay. Which is in the book of Malachi, chapter number 3, verse 15 through 16. There's another book of Yashar, the book of uprightness, for acts of righteousness. There's another book that he says, I need you to write this in this book to make sure that you remember Amalek, you know, to make sure that we wipe them off the face of the earth. Okay, so when you look this up, there's different places where we talk about blot, and blot basically means wipe out. Okay, that's wipe out of your book. So Moshe's asking Yah, okay, he's asking to atone for them, for their sin, by having himself, if he won't forgive them, he's saying, blot me out of your book. So we know that there's a book that Yah has written, and there's a record, okay, because that's what a scroll is. A book is a sefer, and a sefer is a book of accounting. Okay. So in any type of accounting situation, which is like a ledger, you have your assets and you have your liabilities. Okay. I'm not saying that this book has these assets and liabilities. Okay. But what I'm saying is Yah knows everything that we do. He does take account. There is a word in Hebrew called pakad. Okay. I did a study on it before with you, but akav mean paquad, excuse me, is an overseer. Okay. And an overseer does something. They oversee. And when they oversee people, they oversee the animals, they oversee the herds, they oversee their vegetation, they oversee whatever belongs to them. Okay. And they have this idea of mustering or giving an account. When Yah said, and also this word to oversee means to visit. So the overseer will come and visit, okay, to see what he's overseeing and say, wait, what happened here? You know, what's going on? How much we planted this, but where's this at? You did this, but where's this at? Okay. So that's the idea that surrounds that as well. So the creator says, I'm going to come and visit, and we're going to see that as well. Okay. So, but there's a book that I want you to be aware of. Okay. That he's asking to be blotted out of, and he's asking for him to forgive them. Yahweh answered Moshe, okay, in the next verse in 33, and says, those who have sinned against me are the ones I will blot out of my book. Now go and lead the people to the place I told you about, and my malak will go ahead of you. Nevertheless, the time for punishment will come, and then I will punish them for their sin. Okay. Now, during the Torah portion this week, we saw that the Leviim, what did the Leviim do to the people when Moshe asked them, whose side are you on? You guys remember?
I do. I'm sorry I didn't raise my hand. But I believe in verse 38, the Levites were the ones that carried out the slaughter of the 3,000.
Yes, absolutely. So
Yes.
they killed 3,000 people that they wanted. Okay. That Yah says go out, and these people, these individuals were relatives, and they were people who were associated with them, they were friends, didn't matter. And because they done that, Yah said, Moshe had said, you had, separated, you kadosh yourself today by doing such a thing. You've made yourself consecrated today to Yahweh by doing this, by taking Yahweh's side. Okay. Azania, you still have another question?
Yes, Moray, I do have a question, and I understand if you can't answer it now, but it is about Exodus 32 and 38. Is this the beginning of where the Levites separate themselves from the people?
Yes.
And they are consecrated to him, on a different level?
Yes. It's that they just stepped up another level.
Okay.
Yeah, they stepped. So what we've seen, Akoti, that was an excellent question.
Yes.
What we've seen since there's different texts that says that Yah called the Levites when they were in Mitzrayim. Then it says when they were at the Meribah spring, that he said I had some contention, but you were there too. I chose you there. Then we see them graduating here to this level, and then we're going to see a separation between the family and within Levi, like Aaron, Moshe, and his sons, and versus Korach. Those are Leviim as well. So these is this progressive action of the Leviim coming closer to Yah. And so they're elevating. Okay. And then we also see again in the wilderness where Pinchas, when Eleazar's son, killed Zimri and Cosby, the young woman from the other from the Midian, or the Midians, or the Midians. He killed them, and Yah says, oh, because you have done this, I'm going to give you a covenant of shalom forever, your whole family. So there's always this graduation of going to the next level. Okay. So they've graduated here. They've taken their side. They consecrated themselves to Yahweh, literally. Okay. Great question. So what we're seeing, you guys, and we're going to try to move a little bit faster because I got so much material to cover. He's saying, listen, the time for their punishment will come. Okay. So the reason why I asked that question was because when he killed the 3,000, that wasn't a punishment. And then it says in verse 35 of the same chapter that he plagued the people. That wasn't a punishment. That was not the punishment. The punishment for sinning against Yahweh in this manner is to get blotted out of the book. That's what I'm trying to show you. When we sin this sin, this act, that's when you're getting blotted. Okay. There's different things. Like if you read the text, you'll find out that Yah says there's going to be inadvertent and unintentional sin. Okay, that we deal with, and that's dealt with different offerings. This particular sin right here, there is no offering that can be made, and I'm going to prove that. Okay, because it's not about what you say, it's about what you can prove. Okay. Now we have to understand something. We have to understand when Yahweh says something, either we're going to believe what he said and accept it for what it is, try to finagle it and twist it to make it fit our narrative. Okay. Yah doesn't want us to try to fit anything into our narrative. He wants us to accept what he's saying. Don't try to change this. Okay. Remember the rule. The rule is don't add, don't subtract from what I said. Don't diminish what I'm saying. Don't try to fluff up what I say. Just like the rich, don't add to the redemption money, the shekel. If you're rich, give a half a shekel. If you're poor, you don't give any less. Keep it the way it is. Don't go to the right. Don't go to the left. Stay straight. Okay. So this is, Yah says the time for their punishment will come. The punishment is being blotted out. That's the punishment. Well, let's hear what the prophets, this is called the Nevi'im. Okay. I'm going to use more Hebraic terms for us so we can start getting our vocabulary together. Okay. No more, we don't have no more time to just keep talking, prophets, writings, um, word, excuse me, y'all, holy. We're not saying those words anymore because they're not his words. There's no word in the Hebrew language that says holy, none. Well, they translated it. No, kadosh is completely different than what they would consider holy. Because in the New Testament, they say something is holy, and you say, well, this is holy. And so you guys have an agreement now. Now you guys are in agreement together because you have the same vocabulary. You're in agreement now. Oh, he's holy. Yeah, I'm holy. They're holy. Yeah, they're holy too. He got the Holy Ghost. So we got the Ruach HaKodesh. That's holy too. No, no. Well, we have angels. Well, we don't have angels. What do you guys got? We got Malach. Well, an angel and a Malach is not the same. No, y'all never mentioned angel. Oh, you're just, you're just too analytical. You're just too, abrasive. You're too literal. I'm about to tell you, y'all made me say something. Yeah, I am literal. Okay. So the Nevi'im are the individuals, because the Nevi'im has to do with that which is hidden. Okay. That which is hidden. Okay. This letter right here, it means this what? Somebody tell me. It's a noon in Hebrew. And what does the noon represent? You guys remember?
Seed.
Seed. Okay. This is a letter V, but in Hebrew, we know it's a letter bet. What's the bet represent?
Tent.
The tent. Okay. Or the house. Or something that's within. That which dwells within. Okay. So a dwelling. So what it is the seed inside. Okay. So what it means is you don't really know something until you can find out what you'll know. What do they say? You know a tree by its what? By its fruit. You'll know a tree by its fruit. When the prophets or the Nevi'im, when they would speak, the Navi, when they would speak, they were telling you something that was hidden. And then the Creator says, if they told you something and it never came to pass, then I didn't say that. So what Yah does is he puts a seed in them, and they're like literally the Nevi'im are doing nothing but planting seeds. And then when it would grow, it would come out to be what Yah says. Look at the agriculture here. Yah plants a seed in, okay, uses the prophets to plant the seed. Then eventually what they said will come out. So the seed that they plant, they say, yeah, you know what? That's going to be an asparagus. And the people are like, what are you talking about? I can't. When you look at a seed, can you tell what it is? No. Not unless you're familiar with the seed. You put the seed in the ground and then all of a sudden it comes out. When you see a green little shoot, do you know what it is yet? No. It takes time for it to come out, for it to be revealed what it is. So Yah uses Nevi'im to hide that which is within, the seed within. So he tells the words that they're given, they're dropping seeds on people, okay? And letting them know this is going to happen. And then if it happens, boom, that's what it is. And they're not, listen, they're not instruction for warning. Listen what Yhwh said. And this is in reference to being blotted out. This is in reference to a terrible gadol sin. Even if pity is shown to the wicked, he still doesn't learn what righteousness is. Those of us who want people to, Yah to accept everybody, there's your answer. Yah says, if I show pity to wicked, he still doesn't learn. You don't learn what righteousness is by showing pity to the wicked. So should you and I show pity to the wicked? No. Remember he told the prophet, the Nevi'im, Keziel, which is Ezekiel, go tell them what I said. Don't you withhold any word that I said to you. Tell them exactly what I said. So if you're showing pity and you're being merciful to the wicked, the person is off the path, the person who decided to go their opposite way. If you're thinking that pity is going to be the way that they're going to come back, and you're talking to them nice and softly, you don't want to be offensive to them, then because you think you're gonna lose them if you do that, you're wrong. Yah says you warn the wicked and you tell them that I'm going to kill them. That's what you tell them. That's what you tell them. I'm going to kill them. You tell them I'm going to destroy them. You tell them I'm going to burn their house down. You tell them I'm going to destroy them. He says, in a land of uprightness, he still will act wrongly and fail to see the majesty of Yahweh. There's no pity to the wicked. Yhwh, when those days come, they will no longer say, the fathers have eaten sour grapes and the children's teeth have been set on edge, because they're saying that the fathers have done something. The children are feeling the sting of it or the bitterness of it. Rather, each will die for his own sin. Remember, this is about the Gadol sin. This is about the terrible sin that if you go against Yahweh, he's going to blot out your name. He's going to wipe you out of his book. Rather, each will die for his own sin. We're going to die for our own sin. No man can die for you. This is in Yhwh, chapter number 31, talking about when those days come for the house of Israel and the house of Yehuda, when I bring them back to their land. This is what's going to be said. So right now, are you and I, have our teeth been set on edge? Yes. Did our fathers eat sour grapes? Yes, they done that, which is wrong. And you and I are the ones who are feeling the bitterness of it. We got that taste in our mouth. You understand? Because of our ancestors. That will no longer be the case. Rather, each will die for his own. Everyone who eats sour grapes, his own teeth will be set on edge. That means that whoever does whatever they do will die for their own sin. A wicked person is the person who would say, I want someone to die on my behalf. A wicked person is the one who would say that. Listen what this Navaim said. So we got Yeshayahu, Yirmiyahu, and now we have Yakaziel. Yakaziel in English is Ezekiel. Okay, but his real name, let's call him by his name. His name is Yakaziel. Okay. As I live, says Yahweh Elohim, I swear that you will never again quote this proverb in Israel. Look, all lives belong to me. What proverb? They were making that proverb to say that the fathers have eaten sour grapes and the children's teeth are set on edge. That was a proverb. That was a saying. Okay. So look, all lives belong to me. Both the parent's life and the child's life are equally mine. So is the person who sins himself who must die. Now, why is this important? Because a lot of us have children. And a lot of us are children from our parents. So it goes both ways. Okay. I can want the best for my children. I could try to force them to go to the Torah. I could try to tell them what it is. I could try to, I'm a Hebrew teacher and I'm a Torah teacher. So therefore you have to be this way. And this is what it is. No, that's religious. That's religious. I mean, this is not about religion. This is about that terrible sin. So, well, how is this connected to the terrible sin? The terrible sin is this, you guys, what you see on my left-hand side with that calf. The terrible sin is this. If you and I are not worshiping Yah, we're worshiping someone else. If my children, I'm just using my kids, you can use your own children. If my children decide that they want to, be with people that worship other gods, they're not worshiping Yahweh. They worshiping that God. The people that we hang around are the people that tell you you're the people that you gather with and who are your friends and your associates and the one you spend time with. Those are the people that you love. And those are the people that you desire, because love is looking towards a house, right? Hate is to put distance. Okay. So if you're gathered around people that hate Yah, then you hate them too. That's just what it is. I'm not here to cut any slack for nobody, including myself. Yah does not want me to come and chop down his word to make everybody feel comfortable. The gods of the other nations are the problem. The calf is the god. The calf represents any god. It represents any image of anything other than Yahweh. There should never be an image. That image, that calf can literally mean a person to you. You think that the career that you have, that's going to save you, and you think your boss is going to save you. You think your business is going to save you. You think your husband's going to save you. You think your relationship with your grandma and your grandfather is going to save you. They're the ones who are going to save you from Yah's judgment. You're mistaken. Every life belongs to Yah equally, and because they're equal, everybody has to take responsibility for their manner of life and actions and conduct. So Yah's given us a understanding today that David, don't worry about your children. You teach them what I said. It's up to them. David, don't worry about your uncles and your aunties and your mom and your cousins. You have nothing to control over them. That's between me and them. Every person's individual soul belongs to Yahweh. When he talks about the life, he's talking about the soul. Equally, they belong to him. So the person who sins himself is the one who must die. That's what it is. Okay. Here is what the command is, which we call Zawa. Zawa means command. Zawa oath means commandments. Zawa. Zawa means command. Here's the command. And I've used the word up here, Davarim, which word means words and words mean speak. And so here in the book of Davarim, okay, they're the words that were spoken. This is a command that Yah says. Fathers are not to be executed for the children, nor are the children to be executed for the fathers. Every person will be executed for his own sin. This is a Zawa. This is a charge, a command that came from the commander, okay? The king of the universe. So I'm not going to pay for anything that my children do, and my children are not going to pay for anything I do, okay? And there's no contradiction when Yah says, I'm going to visit the sins of the parents on the children to the third and fourth generation of those who hate me. He means the ones who continue down the path that their parents are on, okay? Again, Davarim, that's our term, our Hebrew term for words, and it means to speak. Okay, so let's hear something. Let's continue on this path to understand what it means. Okay, let's find out what this sin is. Let's find out what this rebellion is. He says, so let there not be among you. This is Davarim chapter 29, verse 18 through 19. He says, so let there not be among you a man, a woman, a family, or tribe whose heart turns away from Yahweh, our Elohim, to go and serve the gods of those nations. I want you to wrap your mind around this idea of turning your mind, okay, away. Okay, that's your heart, is your mind, your mindset. Okay, so it's a man, it's a woman, or family, or a tribe. Okay, all aspects of life to go and serve the gods of those nations. So if he's telling them don't serve the gods of those nations that they were going into, do you think he's telling us that it's okay to serve the gods of the nations that we're in? No. There's only one Elohim. Let there not be among you a root bearing such bitter poison and wormwood. The root is what they would call a shoresh. The shoresh starts off as a seed, and then it begins to blossom out, and it becomes a root and takes hold, okay, into that person. Remember I told you that it's that which is within, right? So the root of bitterness, this poison right here, this bitter poison, that right there is called marar, and marar means bitter, okay? And bitterness has to do with what they call rebellion, okay? So when he talks about this, if you notice, he's using agricultural terms, okay? So it's a mindset, it's what's in a person's mind, okay? They'll have, this is what's in their mind, okay? When he talks about turning away, that means instead of you growing straight, the root that you're bearing is one of rebellion, okay? If there's such a person who hears the words of this curse, because he just told him about a curse in 28, and he will bless himself secretly, saying to himself, I will be all right, even though I will stubbornly keep doing whatever I feel like doing. Okay. So that although what? Dry, although I'm dry and I'm sinful, right? I can't see this right here. Let me move this. I will be added to the watered. I'll be added to the righteous. Even though, meaning like I'm grouped up with everybody, we're all on Zoom together. So because I'm with everybody on Zoom, then that means that I can hear what everything is being said, but I'm gonna still keep living the way that I want to live. That's what I'm gonna keep doing. I know that what he just said is what he said. I know that he told me that if I don't follow his laws, his statutes, and commandments, that he's gonna put me to death, but I don't really care about that because I'm on Zoom. So as long as I'm on class or I'm doing something like that, I should be fine. I don't see a problem. But Yahweh will not forgive. That's the following verse. So there, what we're finding is that Yah says a person who goes against me and commits a sin and his punishment, I'm going to blot them out of my book. We so far have seen that the prophets have said that anyone who sins against Yahweh or in this way, in this manner, that whoever dies will die for their own sin. We have seen the commandment of Yah that anyone who commits a sin, a father cannot be punished for the children and children can't be punished for the father. Got a question? Yes, absolutely. Deuteronomy, absolutely. So there won't be any forgiveness. We also saw this when the creator sent this Malach and he said, my name is in him and he won't forgive. So this idea that we've been taught that Yah forgives everybody is not true. If you sin against Yahweh, you're going to die and you're never going to be remembered and you're going to be wiped out of the book. That's what this message is about. Okay. Yah will not forgive a person who would deliberately go against what he said. Yah's not forgiving. You don't want to wear your tzitzits. Yah's not forgiving that. You know why? Because that's the root of bitterness. Because the tzitzits are supposed to remind you of Yah's laws, commandments. You marry somebody that hates Yahweh, Yah's not forgiving that. He's not forgiving that. You know why? Because he told you and me that if you marry someone, the sons, and don't give your sons to their daughters and their daughters to your sons, because they're going to turn you away from me. Because you don't understand that you are what? Come on, I want, what kind of people are we? What did he say that we are?
Holy and set apart.
Yeah, you're a Kodesh. You understand? So because you're Kodesh, and now you're trying to join me to those who hate me, it's not going to happen. I'm not forgiving you. Yahweh will not forgive a person who says, I'm going to stubbornly keep doing what I want to do. So that should be your answer today. That's your answer. Yeah. So he's not cutting any corners and he's not going to soften the message up. Rather, the anger and the jealousy of Yahweh will blaze up against that person. Every curse written in his book will be upon him. Yahweh will what? What did it say? Here's another blot out, wipe out his name from under heaven. Yahweh will sing him out from all his tribes of Israel to experience what is bad and all the curses of the covenant written in this book, written in this book of the Torah. And guess where that happens? Guess where that judgment is going to happen? Where is it going to happen? Oh, that's right. It's going to happen here. You're not waiting to go to 2 Corinthians chapter 5, verse number 17. It says you're waiting for the judgment seat of Christ. You're going to get that right here. You break the Shabbat in the land where we were, you're going to get that here. You want to go against Yahweh, your name's getting blotted out right here. So the idea of you getting more time to do what you want to do, listen, I know the pictures look beautiful, don't they? The nice colors and everything looks awesome, doesn't it? But let me tell you something. He says, I'll be all right. I'll be all right. Even though I will stubbornly keep doing whatever I feel like doing. You can't do that when you're Kadosh. Can't do it. Because you can't keep doing what you want to do. Israel kept doing what they want to do. They didn't want to be separated. They didn't want to be special. They didn't want to separate his days. They didn't want to separate their food. They wanted to be with everybody. They wanted to marry the women of the other nations. They wanted to worship their gods. Whatever people that you associate with and the God that they associate with, that's the God that you love. I know this is not an easy message, but it's the truth. Hebrew words and definitions. I'm going to give you some definitions here so you can understand and know how to move forward. Okay. There's a word that we've been hearing lately, and I didn't put it up here, but I'm going to write it. I'm glad I didn't put it up here, but I'm going to write it right quick. The name for sin is called kata. Kata, excuse me. Kata. That's the name of it. Okay. So let's define what this is. Well, this is what kata is. Okay. And you can write it down in English. CHATTA -A. Okay. Here it is. Kata. I think it's like this. Kata. Okay. Kata. Kata comes from the idea of a cord. Lately, we've been talking about how a cord is used. A cord can be used for binding, to tie stuff up. A cord is used for measuring. That's another aspect of a cord. So the cord had many functions and uses. So not only to use to bind stuff and tie, stuff to the cattle and tie up the sheaves and all this kind of stuff, but also too, it was used as a measuring tool. Okay. And so what they would do is put in, here's a cord. They would put little knots on it at intervals. And each interview will be measured to a certain distance. Okay. So we got the idea of a person who shoots an arrow or to another object towards a great target and they miss the mark. The distance one misses is measured with the cord. So my target's right here. Here's the goal. You end up hitting right here. Okay. Or you hit here or somewhere around there. So what they would do is they'll take this cord right here and they would measure the distance between these. And they said, well, how far did they miss? Okay. So this idea and concept is saying that the wrong actions of one are measured against the correct action. So this right here is the correct place that you should be hitting right here. Okay. This is the incorrect action. Okay. So what's here in the middle is what they would call perfect. Okay. So what is Yah trying to tell us about this word so far? So far, what I said, what give me some ideas of what you think he's trying to tell us? Because this is perfection. Okay. And then when we hit in different areas around it. So what is he trying to tell us?
Keep striving for perfection.
Yes. Cain. Yes. Until you hit the target. What I'm going to tell you is this. People say that you're not perfect. We're not perfect. We're not perfect. We can't hit it. It's impossible. God said it's not impossible. He's saying if you put in the time, you put in the effort, you will hit it. You will eventually hit it. If you keep shooting that arrow. If you would take, now, do you just go out there and do this by yourself? And if you had someone who was going to teach you how to shoot, and they would give you instruction, they knew it, and they were expert, and they were telling you how to shoot it, would you not listen to them? Okay. So you have to learn. And the one thing that you and I need to learn how to do is listen. That's what we need to learn. That's the first thing that anybody, a teacher would tell a student or instructor to tell anybody anything. You need to learn how to listen. Israel's biggest problem is they don't listen. You can see that all in the book of Yhwh. They don't listen. Yah said they don't listen to my voice. They don't, because I'm trying to teach you how to shoot straight. And no one's listening. Yah wants us to shoot straight. Sin is going to be part of our lives, but it shouldn't be intentional. The sin in our life should be unintentional. And Yah says, do it again. Boom, shoot again. Okay, I did it. Oh, I messed up a little bit. Okay, let me get it right. Shoot it again. Okay, good. Oh, I got it closer. Okay, shoot it again. Good, I got it. Do it again. And then what they call it, consistency. The more you study the Torah, the more consistent you will be. There's a lot of work that we need to do. And if we keep playing this game that I can't hit the target, and you shooting whatever you want to shoot, just pick up the bow and arrow and shoot just because you feel like I got to shoot it. I got to do the practice, but I'll just do a half job on it. Then, he'll accept that. No. Yah knows our hearts and he knows our desires. That's what sin is. Sin is not smoking cigarettes. It'd be bad for your health. Sin is not smoking weed. Bad for your lungs. Sin is not drinking. It's bad for your kidneys. But they drink wine. Sin is not eating food. It just depends on how much you eat and what kind of food you eat. Is it clean or unclean? You see? So if you remember, the idea is the group of people, the 3,000 people that got killed were the people who were all in together, the instigators. If you follow the crowd, you're going to die. That's it. You're going to die. I have this word up here called habarith. Habarith means covenant. The covenant. Ha means the. TH, and here's the letter. Ha. Okay. Berith means covenant. Okay. This letter right here and this letter right here has to deal with what we would call grain. Okay. It's a whole nother study. Talks about grain, right? It's like, well, how does that with covenant grain? Yeah. The land. Okay. It has to do with the land. It has to do with, and then you would feed grain to what? What do you feed grain to? The animals.
The animal.
The ox, the sheep. And when you feed them the grain, what happens to the ox and the sheep and the goat and all those? What happens to their body? It becomes what?
Fattens them up.
Because fatten, yeah, you get some fatness. Okay, so you get the fatness, but also too, you're going to get that meat. When you get a covenant, you cut the meat, you cut it in half and you walk between the pieces. Okay, this is how Yah joins himself to Israel through this process. Okay, he's saying, I'm going to always be your Elohim, and I'm going to base it on land, and I'm going to base it on descendants, and I need to do it this way. Okay, so here it is, Habarith. The Habarith is what they would call the covenant. Okay, so listen what he says in Shemot 20. You already know this, but I'm just going to tell you because we're on this understanding. I'm Yahweh your Elohim. Remember, they're the ones in this week have been made golden. They made a golden calf, saying these are our gods. He said, I'm Yahweh, your power, who brought you out of the land of Mizraim. He uses this term all the time. All the time. I'm the one who brought you out of the land of Mizraim. I brought you out of your slavery. I'm Yahweh, Anoki Yahweh. Okay. You are to have no other gods before me. Okay. Because that's the great sin. That's the Godol Kata. Kata'ah. You understand? And I'm going to blot you out if you do this. You understand? That's why Moshe could not atone for them. You're not to make yourself. So he already told them this. What chapter are we in? We're in chapter number 34. The great sin happened in 32. Here's chapter number 20. So did he already tell them this? Yes, he did. So he says the people have broken the covenant. They've already broken the agreement. You have any carved image of any kind in the heaven above, on the earth below, beneath, or the water below. You cannot make for yourselves. And they did this thing. They did it, but the reason why he did not just exterminate them is simply because Moshe asked him to remember what? What did he ask him to remember?
Abraham, Jacob, and Ishak,
Right.
to our
What did,
ancestors. Yes.
yes, remember them, but what did he want him to remember about them?
The promises that he made to them, that he would make their seed more numerous than, right, that he would make their seed numerous and that he promised them the land.
Yes, which is part of the covenant of the grain and the descendants. Because how does the people live? What do they live off of? They live off the grain. You see? So it's about food. You understand? And it's about food and life, because that's what life is your stomach. So because he remembered them, he remembered the covenant. He remembered the berith that he made with them. Okay. And he swore an oath. And the oath that he swore was by himself. He did not use anyone else. Okay. He swore it. And how did he swear it? He cut the animals that he told Abraham to bring, and Yahweh went through those animals by himself. Okay. So he swore by no greater except for by himself. My point is that they were already told and instructed not to have another Elohim. That's part of the berith, okay? The covenant. Let's hear what the Navaim says again. You know who the Navaim are. The Navaim says this, Yhwh. What does he say? 45. I am Yahweh. See, there's no difference. He said, I'm Yahweh in Shemot 20. I'm Yahweh. There is no other beside me. There is no Elohim. I am arming you, although you don't know me, so that those from the east and those from the west will know that there is none beside me. I'm Yahweh, and there's no other. That should solve it for everybody. What's the point, folks? The point is there is no other Elohim. The point is, if you join yourself to any other covenant, he's going to wipe you out of the book. You're going to be blotted out of the book. In this in particular chapter, he's talking to, in this part of the scroll, he's talking to the king called Koresh, and he's telling him that I'm going to call you to release my people. Okay. So Yah's trying to give us an understanding that you and I have to know him means that you can't have anybody else. You got to be literally faithful to him. That's who he's looking for. He's looking for the faithful right here. Okay. So again, we're back in Shemot. Now we're digging in chapter 33. We were in 32 there. Now we're in 33. Just so I'm going to take a little snippet from each one of those. He says, you will go to the land flowing with milk and honey, but I myself will not go with you, because you are a stiff-necked people, that I might destroy you on the way. When the people heard this bad news, they went into mourning, and no one wore his ornaments. Why did I choose this? I'm going to tell you the reason why I chose this in particular text to share with us is simply because Yah is telling you about his character. Yah is saying that in our character, if you're stiff-necked, I'm going to destroy you. If you're stiff-necked, I'm going to destroy you. Okay. And I might destroy you on the way. That's what he says. When the people heard this bad news, because that's bad news, they went into mourning and no one wore his ornaments. Well, let's look at something else about his character. Because remember, Shemot is about character. What else about the Creator's character that you and I have been lied to tell us he loves everybody and he won't do nothing to us, and someone else died for our sins? What else did he say? Yahweh said to Moshe, tell the people of Israel, you're a stiff-necked people. If I were to go with you for even one moment, I would exterminate you. That's your Elohim. Keep your ornaments off, and then I'll decide what to do with you. That's our Elohim. So this idea that he's just going to accept, and he sent his son to die for our sins, and he's playing games. You and I can do something to Yah, and he can say, you know what, I'm going to wipe you and the rest of your family out because I don't like what you just did towards me. He's done it all the time. But when we don't read the Torah, we don't read the Nevi'im, and we don't read the Ketuvim, the writings, we don't find out who we're dealing with. That's the problem. When you think that you're dealing with the gods that you've been serving before in the lands of your enemies, and you think the God of the New Testament is the God, then you would think that there's going to be some grace and some mercy that's going to allow you to do this. There is grace and mercy, but not for that. And I'm going to show that to you as well, because we're talking about the character of Yahweh. Yahweh would speak to Moshe face to face. as a man speaks to his friend. Okay. Then he would return to the camp, but the young man who was his assistant, Yahushua, the son of Nun, never left inside the tent. So this is a little snippet of 33, where it talked about after Moshe went up there and he pleaded with Yah, Yah said, I'm not going with you. Not yet. Not to decide until I decide what I'm going to do, and I got to think about what I'm going to do to you. Okay. Those people were tripped out. But why am I mentioning Moshe? Why do you want to take this out? Because I want to tell you about how important Moshe is to listen to. Because Moshe is like Yahweh's friend. They spoke face to face. The book of Midbar, which is called the book of Numbers, okay? Midbar means in the wilderness. Midbar, the wilderness, also means desolate. Yah brought them to the wilderness because that's who they are. They were desolate, okay? And he wanted to let them know that you need me. That's why I brought you there. You need me for water, which I can call down, and I can hit a rock and speak to it. You need me for food. That's why I gave you the manna. Okay, I fed you. You wanted to quails to eat. I gave you that to eat as well. Okay, I forgot how to spell quail. The manna, the quail, I gave you the meat that you're looking for. You needed protection. I gave you that. I gave you fire by night, gave you light. I also gave you a cloud of a pillar during the day to follow. Okay, I'm there with you because you're desolate. Until you and I recognize that as a people who he is called to be Kodosh, okay, or Kodesh, Yisrael, without Yahweh, this is who we are. When we're in a place of desolation, Yah can give us what we need. We were designed for Yahweh to be this way in order for him to be to us what he wants to be to us. We don't want him to be to us what he wants to be to us. We want everyone else to be to us what he wants to be to us. I'll say it again. We don't want him to be to us what he wants to be to us. It's like having a wife and you saying, look, I want to do this, but she won't allow you to do it. She won't allow you. She don't want you to do that. She doesn't want to follow what you told her because she doesn't trust you. She doesn't want you to do it. She has no confidence in you. None. So what happens? The relationship breaks down. And that's what happened with Israel. They cheated on Yahweh. They committed adultery when they broke that covenant, because that's what they did. The covenant that was mentioned in Shemot 20, when he says, I'm Yahweh, your Elohim, saying, I'm your husband, I'm your provider. And guess what? They broke the covenant. They committed adultery with this God, okay, the golden calf right there, because that was in them. That's what allows us to do the things that we do. So if we're adulterous in our heart, we're going to be adulterous in our mind. We're going to be adulterous in our actions. Okay. And the people that we hang around with, they're adulterers. See? So, but Midbar says this. And in context, we're talking about Miriam and Aharon. They said, is it true that Yahweh has only spoken with Moshe? Remember, we just read that Moshe and Yah are like friends. They speak face to face. He said, hasn't he spoken with us too? See, hasn't he spoken with us too? Yahweh heard them. Now, this man, Moshe, was very humble. So more so than any one on earth. Okay. Very humble man, very loving man, very kind man. Suddenly, Yahweh told Moshe, Aharon, and Miriam, come out here, you three, to the tent of meeting. The three of them went out. Yahweh came down in a column of a cloud and stood at the entrance of the tent of meeting, and summoned Aharon and Miriam, and they both went forward. Those two went forward. He said, listen to what I say. When there is a prophet among you, I, Yahweh, make myself known to him in a vision. I speak with him in a dream. But it isn't that way with my servant Moshe. He is the only one. This is the reason why we need to read our Torah portions and listen to what Moshe says. He's the only one who is faithful in my entire household. He's the only one. No mention of anyone else. Moshe. He's the only one that's faithful in my entire household. Why? Because Aharon wasn't faithful, because he's the one who was part of that golden calf. He was part of this right here. Miriam wasn't faithful. Yes, Azania.
Yes, I just Moray, if Moshe was the only one that was faithful, why did he get to go into the land? I don't understand that.
Because Yahweh wanted to make an example out of anybody that would go against what he said. Yahweh commanded him, and what he did, he didn't set Yah apart. See, the problem, Akoti, was in chapter number 15 of the book of Exodus, of Shemot, Yahweh had told Moshe to, hey, speak or go to the rock and hit the rock right there in Exodus 15. So prior to him telling him not to hit it, he already told him to hit it before. And the people wanted to know if Yahweh was with them. So when he told Moshe, speak to the rock, what Yahweh was trying to do is distinguish to the people to build confidence in him that Yahweh was with them. Moshe robbed the creator of that opportunity. So when he spoke this, okay, when he spoke this to them here in this particular thing, Moshe was faithful in all of his house until he went against the creator, meaning like he did not follow to the T what he said. He changed it, which Yah's letting us know, and Yah has shared that story with us to let us know that if you go and you try to change one word that I'm saying, one little part of what I said to get the children of Israel to go somewhere they ain't supposed to, you have a problem. Like Saul, same thing. I told you to do this, you did the opposite. You did something kind of close to what I said, but you didn't follow what I said. That's the deal. So chapter 15, he tells, hey, hit the rock. He did, not a problem. Tells him later on, speak to the rock. He didn't, he hit the rock. Yeah, I didn't tell him to do that. So as a result of that, he was not able to go into the land. And he begged Yah, of course, and Yah says, no, don't let me go look at it, but you can't go in because you did not sanctify me. You did not kadosh me in front of the children of Israel. You didn't show them that there's a clear distinction between me and the rest of the gods. You showed them you. You didn't show them me. Anytime you and I will go and say something that Yah said or didn't say, you're showing them you. And he's saying, don't do that. You have to show them me. Okay. So showing Yahweh is important. Kadosh Yahweh is important. Okay. So here, moving forward, he says that, listen, he said, but that isn't the way that I speak to Moshe. He's the only one faithful in my entire household. With him, I speak face to face. And clearly not in riddles. I don't speak to him in any kind of riddles. He sees the image of Yahweh, the glory of Yahweh. So why weren't you afraid to criticize my servant? So we're talking about something that was in the future versus what we're talking about in Shemot. So Bamidbar is talking about when they were in the wilderness, when they were making their travelings. Here in Shemot, we're talking about when Moshe just got up and went talk to Yahweh on the mountain. And so Yah's making reference to the time and when Moshe was faithful to him, because he went up to Yahweh. He spent 40 days and 40 nights with Yahweh, okay, to receive the Hadavarim, the 10 words, okay? So the anger of Yahweh flared up against them, and he left. And when the cloud was removed from the tent, Miriam had Zazarat. She had a skin issue, a disease, and she turned white as snow, and Aaron looked at Miriam, and she was white as snow. Aharon said to Moshe, oh, my master, please don't punish us for this sin. We found what sin is, kata'ah, what that we have committed foolishly, meaning we were shooting an arrow and we missed the target, and we foolishly missed the target because we should have understood. But we didn't. We did this because, you know, how we are, right? Please don't let her be like a stillborn baby with half its what? Half its body. Excuse me, let me move this over here. Ooh. Half its body eaten away when it comes out of its mother's womb. There's judgment. Okay, there's judgment for sin. All right, so that's what he's showing us. Okay, now listen what Yah does. Let's show his character. So we're finding out about Moshe's character, how Yah feels about him, and we're also finding out about Yah's character. Here's something about Yah's character that I want to show you. Moshe cried. Remember, he's the most humble man in the world. He has this relationship. He can talk to him face to face. He cried to Yahweh. Oh, Elohim, I beg you, please. Does that sound familiar? He begged before for Israel. He begged for us. Heal her. Yahweh answered Moshe, if a father had merely spit in her face, wouldn't she hide herself in shame for 7 days? So let her be shut out of the camp for 7 days. I want you to remember that camp, okay? And after that, she came and was brought back in. Miriam was shut out of the camp for 7 days. And the people did not travel until she was brought back in. So what did Yahweh just do, according to his character? What did he just do?
Punished her. Put her out.
How? What did he do? He spat in her face. If her father had merely spit in her face, he just gave her Zazarai. He literally saying, I just spat in her face, put her out of the camp for 7 days. I know this goes against your, your loving, kind picture. Yah has many faces, okay? This face right here is saying, like a father would spit in a daughter's face, I just spat in her face, put her outside the camp for 7 days. I just gave her Zazarai. I just gave her a filthy skin condition. She speaks filth, she gets filth. That's what it is. Put her out 7 days. Complete cycle. Okay? So this is what Yahweh's character is like. If you mess with him, I'll exterminate you. I'll blot out your name. I'll do all these things to you. I'll spit in your face. I'll give you Zazarai. I'll open up the earth and let all you and your family fall in. I'll send down fire and burn you up. I'll kill your sons if they don't do what I tell them. Yeah, I'll do that. Yeah. I'll send you to go be eaten up by birds in the famine. I'll let your children starve to death. I'll even let you eat your own kids. You guys sure that you want to follow this Elohim? Because he says if you another people around you start serving another god, you need to go in there and kill every last one of them and set the building on, set the city on fire and everything in it, burn it all up, including the animals. Are you guys okay with that? Maybe this is not the Elohim for you. See, because this is what it's called. But if you don't know this, you're thinking a different way about him. Now, he knows that I'm not going to paint a picture of him that's not accurate, okay? Because we're talking about the character. If you notice, everybody plays a role. Everybody has a character. So now this character, Moshe, he's a face-to-face. He's like a friend. He's very close to Yah. Yah defends him. He's mad at Miriam and Aaron for speaking against his servant. Who are you guys doing? Weren't you afraid to speak against him? So those in the New Testament, like Paul, who like to come in and talk about what Moshe said, and like Yeshua, who said whatever he said against, you heard that it's been said, but I say unto you, these types of things, you need to take that in consideration when you read these words from the living Elohim. We're talking about character. Now, let's get into the aspects of the character that Yahweh wants you to know too about him. Okay. Yahweh descended in the cloud. Now we're in chapter number 34, verses 5-7. Okay. So this whole thing about chapter 32, Israel has worshipped the calf. Aaron failed. Yah's mad. I don't know if I'm going to go with you. I'm going to send my mala. Those are your people. They're not my people. Moshe begging, please, please come with us. You haven't told me you're going to sin, yada, yada, yada. He's saying all these different things. Yah says, finally, I'll go with you because you have found what? You found grace in my eyes. So then Yah tells Moshe, come up to the mountain and I want you to be there. And I'm going to go ahead and I'm going to reveal myself to you. And what Yah reveals about himself is he reveals his character. Okay. In chapter number 34, verses 5-7, it says, as Yahweh descended in the cloud, stood with him there, where on the Mount Sinai, and he pronounced the name. Okay. What does name mean?
Character.
Eric, come on, you guys. Shemot. So when Yah gives the name here, his name, He's about to tell you his what? His character. Yahweh passed before him and proclaimed, Yhwh, Yhwh is Elohim. There is no one else. First thing he tells us is that he's merciful. Then he says, I'm compassionate. Then he says, I'm slow to anger. Then he says, I'm rich in grace and truth. That sounds like everything the opposite of what I just showed you, not told you, showed you what he did and what he said. So how is this a merciful, compassionate, slow to anger, rich in grace and truth, but says, those who've sinned me, I'm going to kill them. I'm going to blot you out of my book, and I'm not going to forgive you. See? So this is where people get it confused. Okay. Then he says in 7, what? Showing grace. Showing grace. Yeah. To a 1,000th generation. This word 1,000 right here is called Aleph. Aleph has to do with the Aleph, the Lamed, and the pay. Okay. The final pay. Okay. So what do we know? Well, we know that all right here is the strong. And then we have this as authority. And we know the last part, the PH right here has to do with the mouth. So the strong authority of the mouth, and the strong authority of the mouth is a teacher. And the teacher is supposed to do something. The teacher is supposed to lead. Okay. So the ones that Yah is going to show all the good stuff that he just said, the one that he just said, I'm going to show mercy and compassion and slow to anger and grace and truth. Then he says this. He explains who that's going to. Is going to the 1,000th generation, to the Aleph generation. Aleph has to do with the idea of learning. The ones who are yoked, because the Lamed, the Aleph is an ox, and this is a yoke as well. The ones who are yoked to me are the ones that I'm going to lead. The ones that are learning from me, those are the ones that I'm going to forgive. The ones who are learning from me and accepting me, those are the crimes that I'm going to forgive and the sins. Okay. Okay. I'm going to forgive their crimes and their sins. Yet I'm not going to exonerate. I'm not exonerating the guilty. I'm not going to do that. If you're guilty, you're not getting exonerated, but causing the negative effects of the parents' offenses to be experienced by their children and their grandchildren into the 3rd and 4th generation. So it goes beyond just the grandchildren. It goes to even the great grandchildren. Okay. So what was the point of me mentioning this? I want to let you know that the reason why he said the 1,000th generation is not just in terms of 1,000th. He's talking about those here that are learning from him. The ones who say they're sorry, the ones who are shuving. That's where the compassion is going to be shown to them. You're going to experience mercy from Yahweh because you decided that you wanted to learn. You're going to experience Yah being slow to anger with you because you want to learn, because you're learning. Along the way, you're not mad at anybody when they're trying to learn. I think what makes us angry is when we got somebody that don't want to learn. That's a rebel. So you and I are in the process of learning. So if you don't get what's right about the Shabbat, not because you're intentionally doing it, Yah's not going to destroy you for that. He's not going to kill you because you accidentally did something. It's not on accident. What Yah kills people for is called deliberate rebellion. Deliberate rebellion means that I'm not going to do something even though you told me to do it. It's not because I don't understand it. That's the difference. A rebel is somebody that you can keep telling something. Their heart is bent on doing what they want to do. You can explain it to them. You can tell them the reason behind it. And I keep going to these seats because that's what it is. Just simple a thread can get you put out. Just like Moshe, a simple him saying the wrong thing and doing the wrong action got him where he couldn't go into the land. And guess what? The moment that he did that, he failed. So we see a failure in our leader, and that's fine. But we also see that Yah gives the results of that. Yah doesn't have a respecter person. There's a judgment for everything. Some people say, well, he didn't kill David after David committed adultery, and he killed a man. Well, Moshe killed a man too. Abraham killed a lot of people. Yeah. So did the sons of Israel. They killed a whole group of people from Shechem who raped their sister. You see? So we don't get to determine who and how Yah shows mercy to. Well, what we understand is there is a balanced judgment for things. Okay. So let me tell you about these attributes of the creator. Okay. I told you all the things that he said about blotting, not forgiving, and all those things, but it's not for no reason. Because this is also part of his character, his attributes, his character, his qualities. Again, Hebrew words and definitions. The first one that he said is that I'm merciful. Okay. The word mercy in Hebrew is called rakam. This is mercy. Mercy has to do with the womb. It has to do with a woman holding a baby in the womb. She's protecting it. She's nurturing it. This is Yah's character, and she's very compassionate and loving towards that. The child hasn't even came out. This is where they said the seat of emotions are for people are in their belly. You know, when a child laughs, they get what you ever heard called a belly laugh. It's from the belly. That's where your emotions are. It's in your stomach. Okay. So Yah is very much like a mother to us. Okay. He's like a mother. He's like a father to us. He provides, he takes care. These are the things, but this is for the ones who will do. I want to be clear. This is for the ones who will do. And trust me, I could have had 1,000 slides on here with all of the places where it says, this is for these people. So because you are here today and you're learning, Yah says, I'm going to show you Rakam. I'm going to treat you like you're in a womb. Okay. Because you're learning, you're growing. Okay. I'm going to treat you like that. Right. You'll see this part of me. Right. This part of my face. The next one is called grace, called Canaan. I want to spend maybe about a few minutes here. Okay. This one here is talking about the wall continues. Okay. And in our Hebrew lesson, if you come to your Hebrew class, you'll find out this letter ket is called a wall. Okay. That's what it is. A ket is a wall. Okay. The noon is a seed. Okay. So one is a picture of a wall. Okay. And you know, that makes a division. That's what a wall does. And then you got the seed. It means continue, right? Continue to what? Either the plant or the family or whatever. Whatever it is continuing. Okay. And so what they have here is the idea of a wall, and what it meant was the children of Israel, when they traveled in tents. Okay. And all of their tents were next to each other. They lived in very close quarters. Okay. So, you know, Azania lives here, Gil lives here, Pam lives here, you know, Renee lives here, you know, Kel lives here. We're all over the place, right? And we're all in this big community, in this family. And I'm gonna put some more tents here, different tribe. Okay. And they have their tents and their families. And I should actually put it a little bit different here. I'm not a 3D drawer, so forgive me, okay? All right, so you got these tents, and then you got some other tents, another family, you know, and they got their tents. And everybody's all hanging out with each other, all right? And so everyone's barbecuing, everybody's having a good time, the kids are running around, you know, there's a lot going on. There's some fights, people disagreeing, arguments. Okay, so there's all this going on. So what happens is that what we have over here is what they would call a wall. Okay, here's a wall that's built around all the areas, and what's inside the wall is protected against that which is on the outside, because that's what the wall does. A wall separates that which is on the inside from that which is on the outside. Okay, so what's on the inside of this is what we would call, which I really love, is, and I learned something this week from this. Okay, different color here. What we have inside of here is called community. We have what they call togetherness. What we have inside are families. What we have inside is freedom to run around and do what we want to do. That's whether to help each other, that's to look out for one another. It's just us. There's no one else. Okay. So when Yah's talking about Canaan, which the We've been taught that it's called grace, and we don't know what grace means. Is that the name of a woman? Is it the name of a song? What is it? Well, for us, it means Canaan. There is no word grace. There's a word called Canaan. Okay. Canaan means to the wall continues. It means camping. Okay. It means making camp, camping out. Right. So within this community, people are able to help each other, love each other, listen to each other, go to each other's tents and hang out with each other, commune with each other. That's what community is about. Commune is about community. When you got to commune, you have communication. If you got communication, you got unification, which in there, which is happens to do with unity. That's where it comes for community, communication of unity. So everyone being what? Being what? Echad. Okay, because echad is, I'll put it up here, echad, okay, is a Hebrew word for one. And oneness is, this is the strong, this is the wall. So it's a strong wall with a door. Okay. So the door separates different places, but here we had, different gates where people can come in. I'm pretty sure there was a gate on the east here and a gate on the west, gate on the south and gate on the north. Okay. So, but everybody within the community worked together as one. Okay. What Yah's talking about, and I see all this mess of picture that I have here. I wish it could have been a little bit better, but I just wanted to draw it out for you, is that what Yah is concerned with everyone is his family. He's concerned with how we deal with each other. When there's camp, there's beauty, there's grace, there's compassion. And Yah is saying, if I'm going to live with you, which we studied about a week and two ago, where we talked about his Mishkan. He has his Mishkan in the presence of Israel, inside of all of us. Right. So wherever we live, he lives there too. So he's saying, if you're going to live with me, if you're going to camp out with me, okay, if you want to camp with me, then you're going to have to be this kind of family. That's what I want you to be. And I want you, when we build this wall of families, I want there to be beauty inside of my camp. I don't want any negativeness. I don't want any sin. Okay, not deliberate. I don't want any rebellion. I want beauty. I want compassion. What's the beauty? They beautified it. When everyone's getting along together, when they say, oh, this is so beautiful. You go to a barbecue and everybody's getting along, the kids are playing, and then somebody messes up and somebody comes in and fluffs up the whole party. You understand? So you be like, man, why did they mess up? It was so beautiful. Why did they have to come and mess everything up? This is what Yah is saying. So what we've done in Yahweh's camp is we've came and we've polluted the camp. With our mindset, what we've done is we brought in the filth of the nations into our walls. And Yah's telling us to get rid of that which is in your walls. So here's the thing right now. You and I have a community right now. Our community is on Zoom. I got people from Texas, got people from Louisiana. We got people from New York, New Jersey, all over the place, South Carolina, Florida, all over, California, okay, Nevada. So we have a community, but our community is right here. So we're very limited on what our contact is. But once you think about the community that's in your own home, your house, your tent, your dwelling, inside your house, there should be beauty. And it can only be beauty when there's no what? Would you get rid of the kata'ah? You got to get rid of the kata'ah. You got to get rid of the idea, listen, of you not hitting the mark. You can't continue in sin. Listen, keep hitting the same spot over and over again and not take responsibility and say, you know what, I want to do a better job. I want to hit the target. And I'm going to spend more time trying to hit that target. That's what the Torah is about, is hitting a target. Okay. So Yah doesn't expect us, our perfection and our completeness is in the fact that we're putting forth an effort. You put forth an effort, Yah appreciates that. I read that to you several times. It's about improvement. Make an improvement. Be conscious about what you're doing. Okay. So that's what it is. Yah says that he's long suffering, meaning a rock. Okay. Or a rake. A rake means to be tender. Okay. That's something else he said he was. He's long suffering. Has he not been dealing with us for a long time? Has he not been dealing with Israel for a long time? He's very tender towards us. Okay. He's very soft towards us. And this is the wrong color to be using for that. He is definitely gentle and kind to us and very tender and soft-hearted towards us. Okay. That's what he wants when he's around us. We haven't given him the opportunity to be this to us. That's what he's showing us. When you live with me, you've done this, this, and this, and that. Now that you're not with me, you're in exile, I need to tell you why you're not at home. So you can understand that it wasn't because I desired to do that. You did it because of your own crimes. It's your sins. It's because you wanted another God. See, you've been chasing after what other people are chasing, and that's the reason why you're not home. Okay. In conclusion of our lesson today, I want to deal with this last part of chapter number 34, verse number 27 through 20, I think 29 or 30. Again, we're talking about the character, right? So now keep in mind that Yahweh said to Moshe, write these words down. What? This is the second time that he's up there receiving the Hadavarim. This is the second time. This is the second time. He just came down and broke the Hadavarim, which are written on the front and the back. He says, because they are the terms of the covenant that I have made with you and with Israel. I want to share a little bit here. If we've been reading our Torah portion, you found that Yahweh said, I will kill everybody and exterminate everybody except for you, Moshe. Is that what he said? And Moshe said, no, they're your people. And if I found favor, show me your glory, teach me your ways. And so Yah says, you know what? Moshe is the most faithful in all my house. Moshe is the one. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to make this covenant with you and with Israel. Okay. Yah did not make that covenant only with Israel. He made it with Moshe. The reason why he made it with Moshe is because Moshe was the most faithful one in all of his house that he told us. The reason why he made it to Moshe is because he spoke to Moshe as a friend does. The reason why he did it to Moshe because Moshe saw his glory. He didn't speak to Moshe in riddles. He spoke to Moshe just like I'm talking to you. Moshe and he and Moshe would talk just like you and I are talking right now. No other person on the face of this earth has ever spoken to the Creator like Moshe. Which is interesting because in the New Testament, you have what they call Christ, J-U-S-U-S, who decides that he's going to go on the Mount of Transfiguration. And when he got there, the only person he was talking to was Moshe and Yhwh, apparently. So if he was the son of God, then I don't understand why the Creator never spoke to him. Yes, Azanya.
Just wanted to say like how Moshe was so anointed after seeing the glory of the Most High. And then you mentioned the New Testament. It just, can you imagine Mary pregnant, how she would have looked?
Yeah.
If she had really come in contact with the spirit of no one would have been able to go near her. I mean, it's just ridiculous. That's what I'm trying to say.
I'm glad you brought up that point because you can see the foolishness. You can see where they got it because that's where we're about to go right now. I'm about to show you that this is where they got the narrative for the Mount Transfiguration. This is where they used it. This is the narrative that they turned and made into a meta narrative. Okay. Yahweh said to Moshe, write these words down because they are the terms of the covenant that I have made with you. See, we before we didn't look at that, we're like, oh, he made it with Israel. No, he made it with Moshe. Why is this important to know? Because Yah has used Moshe to tell Israel what they have to do in order. He's the one who went on our behalf. He's the one who said, teach me your ways. He's the one who begged Yah to give us an opportunity to survive so we can hear the things that Yahweh has to say. So Yahweh in his righteousness and in his magnificence says, I'm going to make this covenant with you. Never saw that before. I mean, I've never saw it before. I'm going to make it with you and with Israel. And if you look in the text, it says, eth, that means a direct object marker, with you. Okay. And he says, and it has a wa, right in Hebrew. And it says, wa, eth, Yisrael. That's what it says. So we know that the wa right here, letter wa means and, means a conjunction. It's a tent peg. That means is I'm going to add on to what I just said. So it wasn't like he just made it with Israel. This second covenant that was made with Moshe and with Israel, because Moshe is the representative to them to tell them what Yahweh says. Now, here's the extra juice and the power that goes along with that. Like Akoti Azania said, she said, could you imagine seeing the glory of Yahweh? Well, guess what? He did. Moshe was there with Yahweh for 40 days and 40 nights. This is where you get your meta narrative in the New Testament. It says that Christ was there for 40 days and 40 nights, right? So this is what they're using. Okay. But he didn't come back and tell anybody anything, did he? See, and his covenant didn't come at this time. It came at the so-called end of his life. I wanted to point out something to you right quick about the 40 days and 40 nights, so you will never forget it. Yahweh says here through Moshe, 40 days and 40 nights. Yahweh's making a clear distinction between the day and the night. Clear. He separates them. Not 40 days, meaning 40 day and night. You understand? He separates and said 40 days and 40 nights. See, Yah is made so a day is a day and let the night be the night. You understand? He didn't say 40 days and nights. He said 40 days and 40 nights. And the Hebrew just shows it a little bit clearer where it just says there's a distinction. During which he ate no food and drank no water. Oh, well, that sounds like JC. That sounds like the New Testament. That's where they got it. They're trying to let him be the new leader. That's what the Greeks are doing. They want him to be. And he said, and Yahweh wrote, and they put this here to let you know what it was in context so you can follow along. Yahweh wrote on the tablets, and this can be verified, just so you can verify for those who read the Torah. Davarim chapter number 10 will tell you that Yahweh is the one who wrote it. Even though they have it inserted here, it is verified in Davarim chapter number 10 that Yahweh did write these. Moshe didn't write these down. Okay. He wrote the words. What words? The words that you and I are reading. Okay. Of the 10 words. And this right here is words. And words are davarim, as we've been studying. Rim. Davarim. Okay. Not commandments. A commandment is a zawa. For one commandment. Zava oath would be that. It's not a zava oath. The Hebrew word there is davarim. Ha'ele davarim. So Yah wrote it again, but this time he didn't make it just with Israel. He made it with Moshe and with Israel. Because he knows that listen, boy, you better hear what he's just telling us. I'm making this with Moshe because he's most faithful in all my house. I want you to look at him differently. That's what I'm telling you who I made it with. Where am I at? Okay. So when Moshe came, where am I at? Yeah. When Moshe came down from Mount Sinai with the 2 tablets, the new ones of the Aduth, the 10 words in his hand, he didn't realize that his skin of his face was sending out rays of light. Okay. Now, those of you who are interested, I want you to know where these rays of light are coming from. The rays of the light here, right here, is coming from a word called Quran. That's your word, Quran. Quran. Okay. They put a U in there, but it's still the same. Okay. Because they believe that their book is light. Okay. So that's where they get it, where the Hebrew word is called Quran. Okay. And Quran is a Kof, Resh, and a Noon. Why is that? I guess it's my internet is slowing down. Okay. These 3 letters. Quran. So as a result of him speaking with Yahweh, his face was shining rays of light, horns of light, like he had a horn on with light just streaming off him. When Aharon and the people of Israel saw this, the skin of his face was shining. They were afraid to approach him because he spent that time with Yahweh. Now he's cut the first time he went up there, he didn't come down shining. The second time he came down shining. Okay. So what does this mean? It means, and Yah's giving us a clue because he's telling us what it's going to be. Okay. You say, well, what are you talking about? What are you talking about? What I'm telling you is this, and hear me well. What Yahweh is going to do for you and I is going to be what he did for Moshe. Okay. And I want to show it to you. Yah has made some promises. Okay. And one of the promises that he says is found in 34:10. He said, here I am making a covenant in front of all your people. I will do wonders as have not been created anywhere on the earth or in any nation. All the people around you will see the work of Yahweh. What I'm going to do through you will be awesome. What Yahweh is going to do through Moshe is going to be awesome. What is Yahweh going to do through Moshe? What Yahweh is doing through Moshe today. Yahweh, through the words of Moshe, through Moshe writing down what Yahweh told him, through Moshe being committed to Yah, being humble, Yahweh's relationship with Moshe, him being close to Yahweh, seeing him face to face, and weren't you afraid to speak against my servant? Okay, the most faithful in all my house. Moshe, the one who led the children of Israel out of Egypt. Moshe, the one who endured these people who were not his children. Moshe, the one who set up everything. The Moshe who came down and smashed the first covenant and then went up and got a second one. The Moshe who interceded on behalf of Israel and begged Yah to not exterminate them. Okay. The same Moshe that he's saying right there, he's saying, what I'm going to do through you will be awesome. And what he's doing through Moshe is he's testifying to us about what Yah has asked us to do. It's only through the words of Moshe that you and I are being led back to Yah. That's what I'm trying to explain to you. That's why the Torah portions are Moshe telling us about the journeying, the journeys that they took, the places where they encamped, and all these sorts of things. So he's leading us back to Yahweh. And this is something that has never been done on the face of the earth. It hasn't been created. It's literally like a creative work that's being done that Yahweh is doing through Moshe. Just like he used Moshe to take that staff and open up the Red Sea. Just like, you see what I'm saying? Just like he used Moshe to take the staff and do this with it, and it did this. Just like he used Moshe to lift the staff up and it defeated the armies. Just like he used Moshe to do all these things. You know, Moshe was the one who was going up to Yah on behalf of Israel and said, okay, I'll go on behalf and speak to Yahweh for you. Moshe doesn't get a lot of credit, and Moshe is going to get credit today because what Yahweh is going to do through him is going to be awesome. And one of the things is the prophet is going to tell us about what it is. It says here, the days are coming, says Yahweh, when I will make a new covenant with the house of Israel and the house of Yehuda. It will not be like the covenant I made with their fathers. Okay. So the fathers he's talking about is not Abraham, Yitzhak, and Yaakov. It's the fathers that he took them out by the hand when he led them out of the land of Egypt. That one there is the one that was met on Sinai. It's not going to be like that. And in what way is it not going to be like that? Because it said it will not be like. Okay. It doesn't mean that it's not going to be. What does it mean to be like? It's not going to be like. Well, how's it going to be? If it's not going to be like that, what is it going to be like? What is it going to be? Kamahu? What is it going to be like? Because they, for their part, violated my covenant. Okay. So that's what we've done. And even though I, for my part, was a husband to them, that's why I let you know that in particular covenant right there was a marriage covenant, because he mentions that he was a husband to them. Okay. Says who? Says Yahweh. Oh, here you go. Yeah, says Yahweh, I was a husband to them. But they did what? They violated the covenant. Okay. That's what they did. Well, what's the miraculous thing? What is it going to be like? Here it is. For this is the covenant. This is the berith that I will make with the house of Israel after those days, says Yahweh. I will put my instructions, my Torah within them. Okay, that's the difference. When he says it's not going to be like, so the first time when he said he spoke it to us, right? This time he says, I'm not going to speak it to them. Okay, the way that I taught to them. I'm not going to, and also I'm not going to have Moshe go up and get it for him. I'm not going to do that. What I'm going to do is I'm going to write it. I'm going to put it within them, in the deepest part of them. Okay, so the putting it within them is different because he says, and I'm going to write it. Okay, so what he's going to do is he's going to, what we call in our day, download. There's going to be a download of the Torah within our deepest part of who we are. Okay, and then he says, I'm going to write it on their minds. That's different. So the first time he spoke to them and then he wrote it on stone. Okay, this time he's not going to do that. This time he's going to give it, put it within us. Okay, and he's going to write it on our minds. Okay, so we're going to have it inscribed upon our thought processes. And I will be their Elohim and they will be my people. A lot of people like to think that this has already happened and saying, well, you know, Christ fulfilled this and this is the new covenant and all so forth and so on. They call this what they call the Brit Hadashah. Okay, that's what they call it, or Kadashah. It's not called the Brit Kadashah. Okay, it's called the Berith Hadasha. Okay, so the Berith Hadasha is, and they call this the new covenant because they call this is covenant Berith Brit. It's called the Berith. That's the covenant, and then they call the Kadashah the new. But when they don't understand is that it's not new. Okay, it's actually, if you look at that Hebrew word for Kadashah, it has to do with renew. It's not new, it's renewed. Okay, just like how the moon is not new, it's renewed every single month. It's not a new moon, it's renewed. Okay, so that's the same word that's being used to say what I'm going to do here. I'm going to renew the covenant. Okay, that's what I'm going to do. And the difference between the one I gave before and the one I'm going to give now is I'm going to go ahead and put this within them, and I'm going to write it on their minds, and I will be their Elohim and they will be my people. So once this happens and someone says, well, I already have the new covenant, you ask him, so has Yahweh written the Torah and within you and written on your hearts and given, put it in you? And they're going to tell you yes, and they're going to tell them, no, you're lying. Because here's a little, you see this little symbol right here, which is a dot and semicolon right here? That tells you how he's going to do it. I will be your Elohim and they will be my people. And if we're not his people and he's our Elohim, that means we're in the same place. That means that we're sharing. Anytime he says, I will be their Elohim and they will be my people, that means that we're living together. So right now, you and I are, and we're camping together. So right now, are you and I camping with him? No. So no longer will any of them teach his fellow community member, okay, or his brother saying, no, Yahweh, yada, Yahweh, for all will know me from the least unto the greatest, because I will forgive their wickednesses and remember their sins no more. Okay, so what sins? The kata'ah. Well, remember what sins? The sins of their transgressions. Why? Because I told you in my attributes and my characteristics that I do forgive. I forgive sins and I forgive crimes, but I only do those for the 1,000 generations of those who love me and keep my commandments. Those are the only people I do that for. I don't do that for the people who hate me. I do it for those who do. That's what makes me compassionate and loving and forgiving, is I can be the one who loves and forgives for the ones who are seeking mercy for me. Okay. Finally, I would say to you, Shabbat Shalom. I would say cease and be whole, because that's what it means. It means cease and be whole. Shabbat is to cease. Okay. And Shalom means to be whole. So cease and be whole. Rejuvenate yourself, renew yourself. Okay. And refresh yourself today. And I hope today that this lesson was beneficial to you in some type of way. And I'm open to any comments, any questions, or any contributions. Is there one? Doing an altar call.
All right. One thing I was trying to understand, you know how on every Shabbat, Israel, all 12 tribes are supposed to come to one meeting place, right?
Well, depends on where you live.
Okay. Okay. Yeah. And that was part of my question. So for the tribes or individual that couldn't make it to the meeting place, is that because like the expansion of the family?
Oh, are you saying in different? Well, Israel is required to meet with Yahweh 3 times a year through those festivals. That was mentioned through the Torah portion. Glad you brought that point out. There's 3 times in which a person is supposed to show up to Yahweh. Okay, those 3 in particular days are the Feast of Matzah, the Tag Matzah, right? The second one is the Feast of Shavuot, which is what they call Bukurei, which is first fruits. And the third one was the gathering, which we call Sukkot. Those are the 3 times in which Israel, all the males of Israel, are supposed to show up, and they're not supposed to show up empty-handed. Okay, so they're supposed to have what they need in their hands when they come to the Creator. But in terms of them missing that, they if they missed it, they were in trouble, literally. Okay, how does that stand for us today? Well, we're scattered. We don't all have an opportunity. We're meeting all in one place right now. We're on the internet. So we're oneness in meeting with one another is really a meeting of the minds. So you and I are really at one place right now. We're meeting in the minds. I hope that answers your question.
Yeah, a little bit. What about the weekly Shabbats?
The, the weekly Shabbat. Well, in this
How was
case,
that held like with Israel with our ancestors?
well, our ancestors were going up to they weren't going to Jerusalem. Some were going to Jerusalem. Some lived in Jerusalem, but others were still keeping the Shabbat at their homes and their gates, because he makes reference to cease from your work in which you do during the week, and let your maidservant, your servant, and work. So the Shabbat was generally probably in their community and at their homes. From my understanding. But those three occasions that you're supposed to meet with him are at at Jerusalem, at Yerushalayim, for those festivals. The other times, pretty much in your community, But why they're in the wilderness, there was times where there was still the Shabbat out there, and someone got caught picking up sticks, and the people found him out, and they had to put him to death. And immediately after that, Yah says, "Hey, let's get some tzitzits on everybody so they can remember what's going on." Great questions, though. Great question. We have a question here from we have a question concerning where do you find your Torah portion at, right? And how do you follow it? Well, I want to take you to the what do you got right here? I hope, can you see my screen? Up here at the top, here is called kabad.org, CHABAD.org. Okay, you're going to go there and you're going to go to that thing, and it says Jewish practice. We're not Jewish, okay, but we use the tools. So we go to learning and values. And once we go learning and values, we'll go down to all parshas or whatever right here, weekly Torah portion. And then we go here to all parshas, you see? And we click on there, and it's going to give you all the parshas. And here's the parshas, okay, or the portions. Parsha means portion. And so here it tells you all the books, Bereshith, Shemot, gives you the names at the top. And so this week, we're in our last one called right here, or not the last one, was called Wayakel, okay? And so that one there will be starting on Yom Rishon, which will be tomorrow, okay? We'll be starting on there. And then after that, they got Pakude. And then after we do Pakude, we're going to go to Wayikra, okay? And Wayikra is called Leviticus. And then we'll start reading there, and we'll go all the way down there. And then after we do that, so it's like you going week by week by week to find out what to read and what to study, and they give you day by day. So go through there, and you'll see it day by day. How are you supposed to read it? What portion of this am I supposed to read today? And it'll tell you. And so if we all stay on the same page when we have our lessons like we did today, everyone will be familiar with it. Like if you guys notice how Azania, she was able to answer a lot of those questions because she's doing her core portion. She's already, she's already there. She's vibing. So when we all stay on the same vibration, we'll be able to better understand what is being said. And then other people can bring out other points, and you can also share. That's why I leave it open for people to make contributions. Um, let's see, some had Shabbat on Thursday. Oh yeah, some people do follow what they call a solar or lunar calendar. And again, I had a conversation about this earlier this week with a few people, and I was like, hey, someone's really bent on saying they're going to keep the Shabbat on a Wednesday or a Thursday or whatever. They don't have no consistency. So, I don't know how that works for them, and that's fine. We're in exile right now. I'm not going to knock what anyone else does, because, to them, that's what they know. And again, I'm not responsible for them and their walk and their learning or none of those things. And I don't think it should be anything that we should debate about, to be honest with you. Yeah, Zanya, yes.
Shalom. I'm unable to make Thursdays uh class because I'm over 50 and a 3 hour time difference just doesn't work. Yeah. But you had mentioned that you were going to expound on the Moshe, on the Most High, the whole situation with the golden calf. You had mentioned that you were going to expound on how our ancestors still hadn't paid for what they had done.
Oh, yeah.
And you also mentioned how you were going to expound on the Sabbath, because I don't know, you know what you said, so I don't need to go into it. But I just wanted, because I was kind of excited about those two things, Moray. So I just wanted to know if you were going to deal with them at all, maybe next lesson or when.
Well, yeah, I can. I'll be honest with you. I was led to talk more about what this character was, right? And I think a little part, and I'll just give a little snippet about that. Those are great things that you brought up. One of the things that I want to let you guys know about where they fully haven't paid, because he said, hey, the day's going to come for them to pay for it, right? When that time comes, then they're going to pay for it, right? So over the last several thousands of years, right? Because that means believe about thousands of years, Israel has always been doing the same thing. So the people, and this is a little expounding on the golden calf situation. The golden calf is a image of a son of a bull. The bull that they used to worship in Egypt, which is the most highly regarded god for them, was called Apis. Okay, and when they worshipped it, when they weren't in Egypt anymore, they're like, well, we'll create the son of God, because that was their god, because the bull represents strength and so forth and so on. And so they were really excited about this. So when they created this, they're creating this son, this son, this because that's what it has, a bane of a bull, which is the son of God. And then what they've done is they're giving their remember, they said created for us gods, and then when they created it, say, here's your god, the son of the bull, okay, the son of their god. Yah says that when the time comes for their punishment, I'm not going to pay them right now, but when that time comes, I'm going to pay them. That time of punishment, from my understanding, okay, and my reading, is knowing that when Yah finally finishes with Israel at the end of everything, he's going to bring us out into the wilderness. And in the wilderness, he's going to deal with the fact that what they were doing, he said, I told you. And you can read in chapter number 18, it's long, okay? No, chapter 20, excuse me, Ezekiel chapter number 20. In Ezekiel chapter 20, Yah tells the prophet Yechezkel, he asks him a question, are you going to judge Israel? Are you going to judge them? If you're going to judge them, then I need you to tell them this. So that's a great reference for you to go read today. Chapter number 20, he begins to tell them all, when they were in Egypt, how they didn't get rid of their gods in Egypt. So the golden calf wasn't the beginning of the transgression of Israel. They just played it out at that point. They have always had gods with them, and he's haven't fully destroyed them because of that. Okay. Matter of fact, I'm going to do us a solid. Okay, let's deal with it right quick. Not right quick, but let's just deal with it. I'm going to show you this little part of the verse, and you could be like, oh, okay, I get where you're going. Here it is in chapter number 20. Thank you guys for staying on. Here's what it says. Quick read. Here you go. It says this. It says, on the 10th day of the 5th month of the 7th year, some of Israel's leaders came to consult Yahweh and sat with me. This is Yechezkel. Okay. These people that he's coming to him are in exile. So you got to get the framework, the context. They're in exile when they came to him. He said, human beings, speak to Israel's leaders. Tell them that the master Yahweh says that, have you come to consult me? As I live, says Yahweh Elohim, I swear that I will not let you consult me. Okay, that's what he told him to tell him. Then he says, are you going to judge them? Okay, that's the question. That's what he's asking Ezekiel. Are you going to judge him? Human being, are you going to judge them? You're going to bring mishpat on them? Then have them realize how disgusting their ancestors' practices were. So the judgment is in reference to their practices. Okay, I think someone has a question here. Can anyone tell me where to find it? Tell them or have them realize how disgusting their ancestors' practices were. Remember, they're in exile. Tell them that Yahweh Elohim says this, back on the day when I chose Israel, I raised my hand to the descendants of the house of Yaakov. I revealed myself to them in the land of Mitzrayim. When I raised my hand to them, I said, I am Yahweh, your Elohim. On that day, I raised my hand, meaning I swore to them, pledging to bring them out of the land of Mitzrayim in the land that I reconnoitred for them, a land flowing milk and honey, the most beautiful of all lands. I told them, each of you is to throw away the detestable things that draw your eyes. Don't defile yourselves with the idols of Mitzrayim. I am Yahweh, your Elohim. When did you ever hear this spoken in Shemot? Never. So Yah's giving us a clue about what he told them through Moshe. He already told them this. And guess what they did? Remember, he's telling these people why they're in exile, but they rebelled against me. Who? The people that were in Mitzrayim, and they wouldn't listen to me. He told them this why they were there. Okay. They did not, each one of them, throw away their detestable things that drew their eyes, and they did not abandon their idols of Egypt. Then I said, I would pour out my fury on them and spend my anger on them there in the land of Egypt. Yahweh was going to kill Israel in Egypt. He wasn't just going to kill them out in the wilderness. He was going to kill them in the land of Egypt because he told them to get rid of their detestable things, which are their idols. Okay, the gods, don't defile yourself. So they never did. But concern for my own name, because there it says reputation, but in Hebrew it says shame, his name is character, kept me from letting it be profaned in the sight of the nations among whom they were living, inside of whom I had made myself known to them in order to bring them out of the land of Mitzrayim. Everybody saw Yah do this. So I had them leave the land of Egypt and brought them into the desert. I gave them my laws and showed them my rulings. If a person obeys them, he'll have life through them. I gave them my Shabbats as a sign between me and them, so that they would know that I, Yahweh, am the one who makes them holy. There's your Shabbat connection that lets you know that that's the sign that I gave to you. But the house of Israel rebelled against me in the desert. That's the second time. They did not live by my laws. They rejected my rulings. If a person does, he will have life through them. Moreover, they greatly profane my Shabbats. When they're in the desert. Then I said, I will pour out my fury on them in the desert a second time in order to destroy them. But concern for my own name, my own reputation, my own character kept me from letting my name being profaned in the sight of the nations, who had seen when I brought them out. You know, the Moab, the Edomites, all the other surrounding nations. Yet I raised my hand and swore to them in the desert. So I swore to them in Egypt. Now I'm swearing to them in the desert. I would not bring them into the land I was giving them, a land flowing milk and honey, the most beautiful of all lands. That means I made a promise, I made oath, because they have rejected my rulings, did not live by my laws, profane my Shabbats, since their hearts went after their idols. However, I spared them from complete destruction. Okay. I want you to keep your mind on that. Complete. I didn't completely get them. I destroyed that generation, that older generation. Okay. So I spared them. Okay. I spared some of them. Okay. From complete destruction. I did not completely finish them off in the desert, but he wanted to. Remember, he asked Moshe, move out the way. I'm wiping them. That's it. I'm going to exterminate them. I said to their children in the desert through Moshe, don't live by the laws of your fathers. Observe their rulings or defile yourselves with their idols, because this is the thing that they keep doing. They keep defiling themselves. They keep hating what Yahweh is saying. They keep living by other rulings than what Yah said. He said, I am Yahweh, your Elohim, not these other idols. Live by my laws. Observe my mishpatim, my laws of Kukim, my mishpatim, and obey them. Assad, do what I told you. And keep my Shabbats holy. They will be a sign. They will be a sign between me and you, so that you will know that I am Yahweh, your Elohim, because they believed that other gods were delivering them. You don't keep the Shabbat, you don't know who he is. But the children, so the parents did, now the children rebelled. They rebelled against me too. They did not live by my laws or observe my rulings to obey them, which if a person does, he will have life by them. What? The rulings, the mishpatim, the kukim, and moedim, they profane my Shabbats, just like their ancestors. And I'm talking to a group of people who are in exile, just like I'm talking to the people today. I'm telling you, then I said, I will pour out my fury on them and spend my anger on them. Who? The second generation, the kids. I'm going to kill them too. Nevertheless, I withdrew my hand and allowed concern for my own name, my Shimka, my reputation, my character, to keep me from letting it be profaned in the sight of the nations who had seen when I brought them out. I also raised my hand and I swore to them a third time in the desert that I would scatter them among the nations and disperse them through all the countries. So every time there's a progression, first is, okay, I swear I'm going to be your Elohim. Get rid of your gods. They wouldn't do it. Boom, brought them out. Try to give them the commandments. Wouldn't do it. Killed off the first batch. Boom, tell the children don't do it. They wouldn't do it. They rebel. Boom, I raise my hand now. Now I'm going to swear something to you. I'm going to scatter you. To who? That generation. And did he just scatter them? He just scattered their descendants and dispersed them through all the countries because they had not obeyed my rulings. And they rejected my laws and profaned my Shabbats, everything their ancestors done. And this is what Yah had told them in the beginning of this chapter. If you are going to consult me and you're going to judge them, tell them this about their ancestors' disgusting practices. I also gave them laws that did them no good and rulings which they did not live by. The same people. And I let them become defiled by their own gifts, and that they offer their firstborn sons, so that I could fill them with revulsion, so that they would finally realize that I'm Yahweh. Therefore, human being, speak to the house of Israel, tell them Yahweh Elohim says, moreover, your ancestors blasphemed me by breaking faith with me still in another way. So it's more than just one way. After I brought them into the land, which I raised my hand and pledged to give to them, they noted all the high hills and the leafy trees and offered their sacrifices, which I told them in Deuteronomy chapter number 12 to only offer their sacrifices at the place where I put my name. There they made offerings to provoke my anger. There they set out sweet aromas and they poured out their drink offerings. These are the disgusting practices that I need you to tell them. And when I asked them, the high place where you go, what is the meaning? They gave the name Bama, which means, what is it? So that's what it is to this day. So tell the house of Israel. This is what Yah's telling us, the people in exile. If you're part of the family of Israel, I need you to hear this in verse 30. Yahweh Elohim says, you're defiling yourselves in the same way as your ancestors. You're following their abominations. You're fornicating with them. and you're offering your gifts, and you make your children pass through the fire, you defile yourselves with all your idols to this day. So, am I supposed to allow you to consult me, house of Israel? As I live, says Yahweh Elohim, I swear I will not have you consult me in that which you have in mind. When you say we will be like the Goyim, like the families of the earth, other countries serving wood and stone, will certainly not happen. Well, that seems like a contradiction, because he said, when I send you to these places, you will serve wood and stone. But God's telling us something. As I live, says Yahweh, I swear, surely with a mighty hand. So now there's the fourth time that Yahweh now is raising his hand. Remember, he raised it, saying, I'm going to destroy them. Raise it. I'm going to bring them out. They're not going into the land. Raise his hand. I'm going to scatter them. He's raising his hand again. Now he raises his hand and swears this. He says, with a stretched out arm, poured out fury, myself will be king over you. When he stretched his arm out to bring Israel out, he never poured out the fury that he's been talking about since verse number 1. He never poured it out. He never got a chance. Moshe said, please don't. He said, move out the way so I can burst out and kill everybody. No, don't do that. Yahweh's never poured out fury. He was going to pour it out in Egypt on them. He didn't do it. He was going to pour it out in the desert for the first generation. Didn't do it. He's going to pour it on the second generation. Didn't do it. He hasn't done it. He's not. So the punishment is not done. That's what I'm trying to tell you. Then he says this, I will bring you out from the peoples and gather you from the countries where you were scattered with a mighty hand, with a stretched out arm, and with poured out fury. I haven't done it before, but I'm going to do it now. When I come and gather you, that's when I'm going to do it. Then I'm going to bring you into the desert. Yes, this is where your judgment is going to happen, of the peoples. And I'm going to judge you face to face. Just as I judged your ancestors in the desert, how did he judge them? He killed them. In the land of Egypt, so I will judge you, says Yahweh Elohim. I'm going to make you pass under the crook and bring you into the obligations of the covenant. The things that you said you were going to do, you're going to do. I will rid you of the rebels. I'm getting rid of the rebellious, the bitter root. The rebels, again, is from that word marar, and that had to do with the bitter root that we saw in Deuteronomy chapter number 29. He said, if there's any one of you guys that sound will be okay, and I'm going to do what I'm saying, I'm not going to forgive you. Those people, the rebels, are the ones with the bitter root. Those are the ones who revolt against Yahweh because they refuse to get rid of their idols. That's the whole key. I will bring them out from the land where they have been living, the scattered land, but they will not enter the land of Israel. And after I do that, then you will know that I'm Yahweh. That's when you're going to know it. So, house of Israel, here's what Yahweh says. Go on serving your idols. But I just thought you said if I did it, you're going to destroy me. Yeah, I am. Every one of you. Every one of you. Go keep serving your gods. Every last one of you. Go do it. He's telling them, go ahead, go serve your gods. He hasn't fully, and listen, and also in Jeremiah chapter number 30, I think it's 30 or 31, where he tells Israel, he says, listen, I'm not going to destroy all of you. I'm going to destroy a majority of you. And the reason why he's going to destroy Zanya is simply because Israel has never gotten rid of their gods. When he wanted to kill them there, he never did. We want to wipe them. He said, when the time of their judgment comes, it's going to come. So that's the day that he's talking about. He's talking about after all the time that you guys have been doing what you've been doing, I've never poured out my fury on you. I've never done it. I've never poured out my fury on you because of my reputation, because the people that knew that I brought you out, I didn't want to shame myself. As Moshe said, I don't want to bring any more profanation to my name. But then when I sent you to the nations that I sent you, you've been there profaning my name. So now what I got to do now is I got to glorify my name in you. So what I'm going to do now is I'm going to show a difference between holy and unholy. I'm going to show you the difference between those who served me and those who didn't. I'm going to pour out my fury. So now everything that I've been waiting for, okay, to do in terms of getting judgment and righteousness for my name, I haven't got it yet. I've been waiting. Remember what he said. And I thank you. It's the reason why.
Thank you.
The Kadosh of Israel wanted you to ask me that, and he wanted me to deal with it because because that's what it is. He wants me to deal with this because where's it at? He wanted me to deal with it because he wants us to understand. Where's it at? Oh, it's gone. I got rid of it. Okay. I don't see it. Do you guys remember where there was a slide that said when the time for their punishment comes? He said, blot me out. He said, no, I'm not gonna blot you out. He said, when their time for their punishment comes. A lot of people think their punishment when they 3,000 got killed or they got plagued. No. Israel has been doing the same thing. Yeah, listen, whenever we go against him, he's saying, I'm going to wipe them out. So the people that are about to get wiped out are the people who refuse to do what Yah says. And that happens to be your family members. That's to your friends and your business associates. If we refuse, this is the last, what they would call rodeo. This is the last party. This is the last call for drinks, because when he comes, there won't be no, I'm sorry. We were sent here to find out if we were going to worship the gods. He put that was our test. That's Deuteronomy 13 all day long. I will send somebody to get you to see if you're going to worship another God. I sent you to the nations where you would serve wood and stone to find out if you would turn your heart all back to me, 100% back to me. I'm using something to find out where your heart's at. If you literally want to do it yourself, or you got to be, coerced into doing it like it was in the wilderness. If somebody got to convince you, or if I got to open up and try to scare you to do it, I want to see that. I want to see if you really want to do it. So I'll put you in a place where they're going to have other gods, because I told you before to get rid of your gods and you wouldn't. So what's the difference, Azania, between us and them?
I'm sorry, the difference is our ancestors then and us now. It's really no difference at all.
Well, no, there is a difference. And I'll say this to you. The difference is this.
Yes.
The one that he mentioned in Ezekiel, and he said, I told them when they were in Egypt to get rid of your gods. They did not get rid of their gods. Okay?
Yes.
He said, I was going to destroy them there, but I didn't. So the difference between them and us is this. He asked you and I to get rid of our gods. And guess what you and I did?
Oh, we got rid of them. Yes. We got rid of them.
We got rid of them.
Right.
He told us that your ancestors wouldn't honor my Shabbat. What are you doing?
Honoring Shabbat. Yes, we're honoring it.
So you're different. So
yes.
But there are a group of us, of our people, who says the Shabbat is every day. It's within me. It's not any difference. Those people are rebels. Those are the rebels. So what I'm saying to you is there is a difference. So when you and I go out to the wilderness and he brings you, your family, my family, and all of us, he brings all of us out and he says, okay, those of you who are with me, come over here. Only people who know Yah will be able to go to Yah's side. That's what I'm saying. The people who are rebellious against Yah are the ones who won't do his laws and statutes and commandments. The ones who won't keep the Shabbat. Chapter number 20, you guys, is telling you, Yah begins the chapter saying, are you going to judge them? And he's talking to exiles. So Yah introduces this later to us. He didn't give us this information in Exodus. He gave it to us in Ezekiel. Okay, Ezekiel. So for you and I to understand, oh, this is what they did. Okay, we're doing something different. You see? He said, I was going to pour out fury, but I never did. And now at the end of the conversation in 20, he says, I'm pouring out fury. So the judgment, he says, you guys have been doing the same thing your ancestors did when they left out of Egypt. So he never paid them, did he? No, he never paid them. Because why are they continuing? If he says, if you do this, I'm going to completely wipe you out. The understanding is this. Yah doesn't want to wipe all of us out, but he knows he's not going to completely destroy all of us, but he knows that he's got to destroy a lot of us. I'm not going to finish you off. I'm not going to finish you off. If you break my laws and my statutes and my commandments, I'm killing you. But those of you who have not done that, I'm going to spare you. I won't completely finish you off. I'm going to kill a lot of you, but not all of you. And so that's the part of we need to understand. He has not dealt with us as he wanted to in the wilderness. Moshe is the one who got us spared. He's the one who said, remember, or the faithfulness of Abraham, Yitzhak, and Yaakov got us spared. Because that's what spared us. We're the, okay, Anzanya, you said it. You said we're the descendants of those people. So you and I are descendants of Abraham, Yitzhak, and Yaakov. Are you living and behaving like Abraham, Yitzhak, and Yaakov?
Um, yes, I believe so. I mean, it's like I trying to keep his commandments to the best of my ability, and yes, conscious of him in every move. Yes.
Yes, you are. You see? So what he's saying is, listen, what he's saying is, if you and I had that same type of attitude, because that's what they did, right? I think it's verse number 11. Listen what Yah says, and we'll close up. Listen what he says. He says this. And oh, this is a perfect ending to our study today. He said this: these are the Davarim that Yahweh spoke concerning Israel and Yehuda. Here is what Yahweh says, verse 5. We have heard a cry of terror and of fear and not of peace. There's no shalom. Ask now and see, can men give birth to children? Why do I see all men with their hands on their stomachs like a woman in labor? Their hands are on their bellies, with every face turned pale, like a pale green, like they're about to vomit. How dreadful that day will be. What day? That day. There has never been one like it. A time of trouble for Yaakov. It's a day. It's not 7 years. It's a day. But out of it, he will be rescued, saved, delivered. On that day, Yom, says Yahweh Zavaoth, I will break his yoke from off your neck. I will snap your chains. Foreigners will no longer enslave him. Who? Yaakov. Instead, they will serve Yahweh their Elohim and Dawid their king, whom I will raise up for them. Okay, so don't be afraid, Yaakov, my servant, says Yahweh, or be alarmed, Yisrael, for I will return you from far away and your offspring, yes, from the country from their country of exile. Yaakov will again be quiet and at rest, and no one will make him afraid. For I am with you to rescue you, to save you, to deliver you, says Yahweh. I will finish off all the nations where I have scattered you. However, I will not finish off. However, I will not finish off, but will discipline only as you deserve. I will not completely destroy you. I will not completely destroy you. I'm not going to finish you off, but I'm only going to discipline you as you deserve. And he's talking to the nation. Some of Israel is going to be destroyed. We saw it in Ezekiel 20. The rebels, the ones who won't get rid of the idols, are going to be destroyed. The idol that they have is this character called Christ. That's the character, or another God. If you don't follow what Yah says, you don't listen to his voice, he's not your God. Literally, you have to do what he says. If you're not keeping the Shabbat, he's not your Elohim, because he said, then you'll know that I'm Yahweh. You don't keep the Shabbat, it's a sign. You don't know him. You don't keep his laws, you don't know him. You don't listen to him. You're still his people, but he's going to kill you. I'm going to wipe you out. Okay? Because the people who fear me are the people who are going to come. The people who fear me are the ones I'm going to spare. I'm going to spare the ones who fear me. I don't care about anybody else. I'm going to kill everybody else. Don't you understand? Anybody that doesn't do and have any respect towards me, I'm killing them. Okay? Period. And well, that's trying to scare us. No, I'm trying to tell you what it is. That's what it is. Those who feared Yahweh spoke together, and Yahweh listened and heard. A record book, okay, told you about them books, was written in his presence for those who feared Yahweh and had respect for his name. Yhwh, what's the part of his name? Merciful, compassion, loving, forgiving, forgive crimes, but will not acquit the wicked. To the 1,000 generations who love me and keep my commandments, they will be mine, says Yahweh Zavo. On the day when I compose my own special treasure, I will spare them as the man spareth his own son who serves him. The once again, you will see the difference between the righteous and the wicked. between the person who serves Elohim and the one who doesn't serve him. When? What? When I write them down in this book and when I spare them. And then the following chapter talks about the day. It's going to be a day of fire. Okay. So Yah's coming in fire, and those of us who are written in the book will be spared. But if you sin against Yahweh, he's going to kill you. Plain and simple. And I can't say that any kind of other way. I can say cut you off, but it's not clear enough. He's going to blot you out of the book. So if you're, you got to be real. We found out today what sin was. It's missing the mark. But if you're deliberately taking the bow and arrow and just shooting wherever you want to, you're not even trying to attempt to hit the mark. I think Akoti Azanya said she's doing the best that she knows how. You know what that means? She's picking up the arrow and she's shooting it towards the target. And she's not playing any games. She's not just shooting at other stuff. She's shooting at where Yahweh told her to shoot at. Okay. And that's what it is. So you put forth your effort towards that and you be consistent with it and you take it serious and don't let anybody lie to you. This is a serious matter. And we found out today that it doesn't matter what my kids think and what I think for them. I can want it all day long for mama and big mama and all them. Doesn't matter. It's about me and Yah. It ain't about nobody else. It ain't even about, me and my wife. No, it's about me. I'm the one who have to make the adjustments and the changes because it's my soul. Now I share my life with these people, but that's it. And I'm supposed to display the character of Yah through the Torah. And that's what it is. So thank you guys so much for your time today. I will be holding my Hebrew class later on this afternoon. If you can make it, you can. If not, it'll be recorded for you. Okay. I say Shabbat Shalom.
Thank you, Moreh. Shabbat Shalom.
Shabbat Shalom.
Shabbat shalom.
Shabbat shalom.